keep it moving, and I am gonna blow up your spot one of these days.
Nicki Minaj went on a full-blown social media assault against Jay-Z, accusing him of owing her up to $200 million from the Tidal sale and using Roc Nation to blackball her career. Jay-Z has not responded to a single claim. However, Nicki had pressed harder after she pulled up on Have with receipts, allegations, and zero chill. Here's what we know: the bag title, the $200 million claim, and the Super Bowl snub. Hey, let's get into the bread first, because at the end of the day, money is what started this whole smoke session between Nicki and Hogg. And when we say money, we aren't talking about a couple of racks or some petty label dispute. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Straight up, no cap. To understand where Nicki's coming from, you've got to rewind to 2015. That's when Jay-Z launched Tidal, the streaming platform he was positioning as the artist-owned alternative to Spotify and Apple Music. It was supposed to be revolutionary, a place where the creators actually ate from the table they built. Jay brought in some of the biggest names in music to co-sign the whole thing: Beyoncé, Rihanna, J. Cole, Kanye West, Madonna, and this is important, Nicki Minaj. Each artist was given a 3% equity stake in the company. In exchange, they were expected to push exclusive content, promote the platform to their fan bases, and ride or die for the vision. And Nicki did exactly that. She wasn't playing around. She was one of the most active promoters of the title, second probably only to Beyoncé herself. She pushed it on her socials. She dropped exclusives. She showed up to that iconic launch event and posed with Usher, Rihanna, Madonna, and the rest of the squad, looking like they were about to take over the entire music streaming industry. The energy in that room was real. These artists believed they were building something that would change the game forever. But here's where things go left. In 2021, Jay-Z sold the majority stake in the Tidal to Jack Dorsey's company Square, now called Block, for roughly $32 million in cash and stock. That's a massive bag, a legendary payday. Now, if you do the math real quick on Nicki's 3% equity stake, she should have walked away with roughly $9 million at the very minimum. That's just basic arithmetic. But according to Nicki Minaj, she didn't get a single red cent, not one penny. She said Jay-Z's team offered her $1 million, just one lonely million to basically keep her mouth shut and disappear. She called it a slap in the face, an insult, and a straight-up robbery in broad daylight. On X, she put it plain for everybody to read. We've calculated about 100 to 200 million so far. Hashtag Jay-Z called me to settle this karmic debt. It's only collecting more interest. You're still in my top 5, though. Let's get it, and anyone still calling him will answer to God for the blasphemy. Now, the Breakfast Club crew had something to say about this, and they kept it a whole buck. They made a point that a lot of people in the culture were thinking, but not saying out loud. If somebody really owes you $200 million, why are you tweeting about it instead of filing in court?
I have no idea about their business, but if someone owed me $200 million, then I would be in court, not on X. And I guarantee you, if she ever took that to court, that would be a huge story.
And that's a legitimate question. As of right now, no lawsuit has been filed, no legal papers, no court dates, just tweets. But, and this is important, the tweets were surgical. Nicki didn't just throw random accusations at the wall and hope something stuck. She laid out an entire indictment of Jay-Z's entire operation, piece by piece, brick by brick. She went on to accuse Jay-Z of ruining damn near everything the culture holds sacred. Hip-hop, football, basketball, touring, Instagram, and Twitter. She tweeted, "Dear Fight Jay-Z, you ruined hip-hop. You ruined football. You ruined basketball. You ruined touring. You ruined Instagram. You ruined Twitter. The jig is up. All of this is alleged and for entertainment purposes only." The Breakfast Club had a field day with that one. The whole room was cracking up.
Serious hashtag Jay-Z. You ruined hip-hop, you ruined football, you ruined basketball, you ruined touring, you ruined Instagram, you ruined Twitter. The jig is up. All of this is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. And she also is saying, she's mentioning Desiree, who is one of Jay-Z's.
You might as well say Jay-Z's the head of Doge. Jay-Z invaded Gaza. You might as well just come on, add some more to that, Nick.
But underneath all the jokes and the memes, the current money situation is dead serious. If Nicki Minaj was legitimately a 3% equity holder in a company that sold for $32 million and she got lowballed with $1 million hush offer when the real number should have been closer to $9 million at minimum. And she's saying the actual number is far higher when you factor in promotional value and brand equity. Then that's a problem. That isn't a miscommunication between colleagues. That's getting finessed on a corporate level, and in the streets, that's a violation. She also said that once she finally gets that money from Jay-Z, she plans to use it for her Chakran Student of the Game charity, a fund dedicated to paying fans tuition and student loans. So in her mind, Jay-Z isn't just stealing from her. He's stealing from the barbs. He's stealing from students who need that bread to get their education. That framing hit different. It turned a business dispute into a cause. And the title situation wasn't even the only thing that had Nicki's blood boiling. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. In September 2024, the NFL announced that Kendrick Lamar would headline the Super Bowl LIX halftime show in New Orleans. Now, for anyone who has even a passing familiarity with hip-hop culture, that announcement was a gut punch to one specific individual, Lil Wayne. Wayne is New Orleans born and raised. He's the heartbeat, the pulse, the living legend of that city. He's one of the 5 greatest rappers to ever grip a microphone. And the Super Bowl was literally in his backyard. Everybody, and I mean everybody in the culture, assumed Wayne was getting that slot. It felt like a done deal, a foregone conclusion. Wayne in New Orleans at the Super Bowl, that writes itself. But Roc Nation co-produces the Apple Music NFL halftime show. Jay-Z's fingerprints are all over that decision-making process. And when Kendrick's name was dropped instead of Wayne's, the streets had questions. Nicki went nuclear. She posted a whole tirade directly at Jay-Z on X, denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game for no other reason but your ego, your hatred for Birdman. Drake and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is the GOAT. Nola, what's good? She even brought up Eminem, saying Eminem stood firm on having 50 Cent come out. A white man. That line cut like a razor. She was basically saying a white artist showed more loyalty and more backbone for his day ones than Jay-Z showed to his own people, his own community, and his own culture. Whether you agree with Nicki or not, that bar landed. Wayne not getting that Super Bowl slot in his own city rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way. Not just the barbs, hood legends, industry vets, and casual fans. Everybody had something to say about it. And Nicki framed the whole thing as evidence of a bigger pattern. She believed Jay-Z was deliberately using his Roc Nation power and influence to freeze out anyone connected to her circle. Wayne, Drake, Birdman, and herself. The Super Bowl snub was the most visible and most public example, and it set the stage for everything that came crashing down after. From Monsterverse to modern warfare. Now, here's the critical piece that a lot of people miss when they see Nicki going at Jay-Z on social media. This isn't some random Twitter beef between 2 strangers who never met. These two have a history. Deep, layered, complicated history that goes back over 15 years. And understanding that history is exactly what makes the current fallout hit so much harder and feel so much more personal. Rewind to 2009. Kanye West drops Monster, and the feature list is absolutely stacked. Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Bon Iver, and a young Nicki Minaj who is still building her buzz in the mixtape circuit. But when that track hit the streets, it wasn't Jay-Z or Rick Ross that had everybody losing their minds. It was Nicki. She obliterated that beat, consumed it whole. Her verse on Monster is still widely considered one of the greatest guest appearances in the entire history of hip-hop. And it announced to the world that this woman was not here to play second fiddle to anybody, not even Hoff himself. Jay-Z clearly recognized her talent early on before she blew up to mainstream superstardom. He tried to sign her to Roc Nation. He saw the potential.
He saw the star power.
He wanted her on his roster. But Nicki chose loyalty over clout. She went with Lil Wayne and Young Money instead. She stuck with the people who discovered her, nurtured her, and gave her a shot when nobody else would. Some industry insiders speculate that decision, choosing Wayne over Jay, planted the very first seed of tension between Nicki and Have. A seed that would take years to sprout but would eventually grow into the massive oak tree of conflict we're witnessing today. But even after she turned down the Roc Nation deal, Jay-Z kept showing love. He wasn't petty about it, at least not publicly. In 2010, he personally recommended Nicki for Robin Thicke's track Shakin' It for Daddy, which she later described as one of the most exciting cosigns of her early career. That same year, she performed alongside Jay-Z and Eminem at Yankee Stadium for the legendary Home and Home concert series, becoming the first female rapper in history to perform on that iconic stage. That's a milestone that belongs in the history books, and Jay-Z gave her that platform. In interviews during that era, Nicki spoke on Jay-Z with genuine reverence and admiration. When asked about her biggest influences coming up, she named him first without hesitation.
Now, you've also said that Jay-Z, Foxy Brown, and Lil Wayne were some of your biggest influences when you were coming up. What did each of them have that you wanted to emulate?
Jay-Z, business savvy. Foxy Brown, immaculate delivery. Lil Wayne, trendsetter.
Business savvy. That's what she admired most about Jay-Z. Not just his bars, but his mind. His ability to turn rapping into an empire. She saw him as the blueprint, pun absolutely intended, for how a rapper from the projects could become a billionaire mogul without ever losing credibility in the streets. She was so inspired by his trajectory that she modeled her 2014 album, The Pink Print, after his legendary Blueprint series. That's not subtle. That's not coincidence. That's a direct, intentional homage from someone who genuinely looked up to the man and wanted to walk the same path he carved. Fast forward through the years, and the relationship maintained a consistent veneer of mutual respect and professionalism. In 2012, they were seated together at the BET Awards, separated only by Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. VIP section energy inner circle vibes. In 2015, they stood side by side at the title launch event, presenting a united front for artist empowerment and ownership. And as recently as 2022, Jay-Z and Beyoncé sent congratulatory flowers when Nicki received her MTV Video Vanguard Award. Nicki publicly thanked them for the gesture. That was the relationship. Cordial, warm on the surface, and marked by occasional generosity and professional courtesies. So what happened? What turned admiration into animosity? What transformed a protégé's respect into a full-blown scorched earth social media campaign? The fracture started becoming visible around 2021, right when that title sale went through and the checks didn't land where Nicki believed they should. That's when she first started hinting publicly that she felt cheated out of her fair share. By September 2024, those coded hints had turned into full-blown accusations directed squarely at Jay-Z and his entire operation. And by July 2025, she was tweeting exact dollar amounts, 100 million and 200 million, naming names, tagging people, and daring anyone to challenge her publicly. But it evolved beyond the money. Nicki started targeting Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez directly, nicknaming her Deseret and questioning everything from her Trump pardon on narcotics charges to her qualifications to run one of the most powerful management companies in entertainment. Nicki accused Roc Nation of blackballing artists who didn't fall in line, stealing talent from rival labels through shady recruitment tactics, deploying bot armies to suppress her engagement metrics online, and manipulating Billboard chart data behind the scenes. She claimed they sabotaged her documentary because she addressed the abuse she suffered in the industry. She said they deliberately stalled her projects in hopes she'd hemorrhage money and eventually come crawling back begging for help. These are not minor accusations. These are allegations of systematic, coordinated career destruction. DJ Academics broke the situation down on his show and highlighted just how deep and relentlessly one-sided this public feud had become.
Nicki is launching a piggyback attack on Jay, and we all know, if you haven't, to refresh your memory about why she doesn't like Jay, she claims that Jay, finessed her with the title situation. She also made a claim that Jay-Z owes Nicki Minaj $200 million, right? Now, if you watch her tweets over the last year or so, especially after she's also attacked Jay-Z's company's Roc Nation CEO, Desiree Perez, she's basically accused them of really doing some heinous things or trying to do some heinous things to her. So this is
And that last observation from academics is absolutely critical. Jay-Z has never acknowledged a single word of it. Not one tweet, not a formal statement through Roc Nation's communications team, not a subliminal bar buried in a verse, not even a vague Instagram story, complete and total radio silence, zero engagement. Now, some people interpret that silence as being above the noise, maintaining his composure, staying boss level, and refusing to legitimize the chaos by responding to it. That's one reading. But others, and Nicki is firmly in this camp, interpret that silence as confirmation. The logic goes like this. If someone is publicly accusing you of owing them $200 million and you don't even bother to deny it, what exactly does that tell the streets? Either you're so supremely confident the claims are baseless that they don't warrant your oxygen, or you know there's enough truth buried in those accusations that any response would only dig the hole deeper and invite discovery. The trajectory of their relationship reads like a hip-hop Shakespearean tragedy. From admiration to collaboration to mutual benefit to absolute unrestrained scorched earth warfare and the silence from Jay-Z's camp. Somehow, someway, that silence might be the loudest sound in this entire saga. The Grammy meltdown, the political pivot, and where this goes from here. If you thought the title money claims and the Super Bowl rant represented peak Nicki Minaj versus Jay-Z, I need you to strap in tight, because what happened during the 2026 Grammy Awards was an entirely different stratosphere of chaos. This was no longer just a hip-hop industry beef playing out on timelines. This was a full-blown cultural earthquake, and Nicki Minaj was standing right at the epicenter with her phone in one hand, a conviction in her heart, and absolutely zero regrets in the other. February 1st, 2026, the 68th Annual Grammy Awards at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Every major artist in the industry was in that building. Nicki Minaj was not. She wasn't nominated. She wasn't performing. She wasn't presenting. She was completely absent from the ceremony, but she was, without a shadow of a doubt, the single most discussed, most dissected, and most searched person on the entire internet that night. Google Trends confirmed she was the most searched artist during the broadcast. Despite never setting foot inside the arena, it all kicked off when host Trevor Noah took a deliberate, calculated shot at Nicki during the opening monologue with the cream of the music industry sitting right in front of him under those arena lights. Noah went in.
Oh man, every single person here, John Legend, Billie Eilish, Phineas, Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here.
Thumbs up happened.
She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues.
Actually, Nicki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nicki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it, baby.
The cameras caught Chrissy Teigen throwing her head back, laughing. John Legend grinning from ear to ear. The entire audience is eating it up like dessert at a banquet. The vibe in that room was unmistakable. The industry were collectively clowning Nicki for her political turn. And Nicki, she was watching the whole thing unfold in real time from wherever she was. And she responded with a ferocity, a velocity, and a volume of social media content that hip-hop has genuinely never witnessed before. What followed was one of the most prolific, unfiltered, wide-ranging, and breathtakingly confrontational social media onslaughts any public figure in entertainment has ever unleashed. While the Grammy broadcast was still airing live on national television, Nicki flooded her ex's timeline with dozens upon dozens of posts hitting targets in every direction like a verbal Gatling gun. She went after Trevor Noah. She went after Chrissy Teigen with deeply personal accusations. She went after Lizzo with ruthless comments about weight loss, album sales, and legal troubles. She went after the entire Democratic Party, calling them demon rats. And of course, inevitably, relentlessly, she went after Jay-Z harder, meaner, and more personally than she ever had before. She tweeted, "Are y'all understanding that these people have been sacrificing children as a way of gaining and maintaining power? If you ever vote Democrat again, you're just as soulless as they are and will perish." She also posted, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of a blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up. She also wrote, "They sabotaged my documentary because I spoke about abuse that I suffered. They've been trying to stall all my projects in hopes that I lose a bunch of money and beg them for help. Their leaders still think it's a joke. The destruction that's about to come down on them isn't funny. That's heavy. Real heavy. Those are not standard hip-hop beef accusations. Those are allegations that venture into territory far beyond music industry politics. And to be absolutely clear with the viewer, none of these specific claims have been substantiated by any credible investigation, court filing, or law enforcement inquiry. There is no evidence to support them. But what they do represent undeniably is the complete and irreversible breakdown of whatever professional relationship, mutual respect, or personal connection Nicki Minaj and Jay-Z once shared. This isn't someone who's merely upset about a business deal anymore. This is someone who feels like she went to war with an entire apparatus of industry power and decided consciously, deliberately, to burn every bridge, every connection, and every courtesy on the way out the door. Now, the Grammy meltdown didn't materialize out of nowhere. It came after months, arguably years, of Nicki's increasingly vocal alignment with Donald Trump and conservative political circles. And that political pivot is a massive component of why the backlash against her has reached such volcanic proportions. In December 2025, Nicki appeared at Turning Point USA's America Fest, delivering an impassioned speech on stage about her Christian faith, her unwavering admiration for President Trump, her frustration with being bullied and silenced by the entertainment establishment, and the importance of young people having the courage and the backbone to think independently.
I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact. He's from Queens, New York, like me. But what it's shown me personally is sometimes, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never going to come back from it. But you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly. Having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny. Until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on.
Then in January 2026, she escalated even further, appearing at a Treasury Department summit alongside Trump himself to launch Trump Accounts, a new investment program providing IS for children. She held the president's hand on stage. She called herself his #1 fan. She flashed a gold Trump card. She told the crowd her own citizenship paperwork was being finalized. In a podcast interview with Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, Nicki explained that watching Trump endure relentless public attacks and media smear campaigns reminded her of her own experience in the entertainment industry. She said the parallel was undeniable and deeply personal. She said the hate she receives for supporting him actually motivates her to support him more. The backlash was immediate, widespread, and ferocious. Online petitions demanding her deportation gathered over 120,000 signatures within days. LGBTQ+ fans, a community that was foundational to Nicki's rise and represented a massive, dedicated portion of her audience, expressed feelings of profound betrayal. Former supporters accused her of turning her back on the very people who built her career and defended her through every controversy. Celebrities like Ariana Grande reportedly created distance. Industry peers went silent. And the Grammy night rant, with its unfiltered conspiracy theories, scorched earth personal attacks, and charged political rhetoric, became the single defining moment of Nicki Minaj's 2026 public image. But here's the crucial context that the quick take, hot take, social media cycle consistently misses. Nicki's political shift didn't arrive overnight. It wasn't random. It didn't fall out of the sky. She's been feeling increasingly alienated from the mainstream music establishment for years. The title money dispute was one wound. The Super Bowl snub of her mentor Wayne was another. The long bitter feuds with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, both of whom have undeniable Roc Nation connections, added fuel to an already raging fire. The persistent feeling that blogs, media outlets, and streaming platforms were deliberately suppressing her narrative while amplifying her enemies drove her further and further from the industry's inner circle. And when that inner circle is overwhelmingly coded as liberal Hollywood, the logical opposite direction leads towards conservative politics. And the people who welcome outcasts with open arms. That's the pipeline. Whether you approve of it or condemn it, that's the emotional and professional trajectory that brought Nicki Minaj to where she stands today. DJ Academics made a perceptive observation on his show about the recurring pattern of artists like Nicki and Kanye ending up in these exact positions.
And what's really happened is that people like Nicki Minaj and also Kanye West, they seem like they were a little bit cuckoo. And I ain't gonna lie, people call them flat out crazy. They're now starting to look like they were trying to warn us of some things.
Academics also raised a question that everybody who's been following this drama should seriously sit with and consider carefully. If Roc Nation is historically quick to take legal action against bloggers and commentators who make accusations they don't appreciate, and they've actively supported Megan Thee Stallion in her various legal proceedings, then why on earth haven't they sued Nicki Minaj for the very specific, very public, and very damaging financial and professional claims she's been making consistently for over a year?
I'm wondering why Roc Nation don't sue Nicki. If they're quick to kind of support Meg and sue a blogger who doesn't have anything, why not sue Nicki? That's kind of odd. I'm not saying they should, but I'm just saying, usually when they're not suing, it's like they kind of know they don't have a case, which means maybe you have some type of point that you've made.
That question lingers in the air like smoke after a fire. It doesn't prove Nicki's claims are true, but it raises a legitimate, uncomfortable question about why the most powerful entertainment management company in the world is choosing to let these accusations stand completely unchallenged in the public discourse. At the end of the day, this beef between Nicki Minaj and Jay-Z is about way more than tweets, memes, and clapbacks on a timeline. It's about money, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars, that Nicki genuinely believes she was cheated out of through corporate maneuvering and deliberate undervaluation of her contributions. It's about power. Who controls the narrative, who controls the opportunities, who gets to perform on the biggest stages, and who gets frozen out. It's about loyalty, or the devastating absence of it, between two people who once stood on the same side of the table and are now separated by an ocean of resentment, suspicion, and broken trust. And ultimately, it's about what happens when someone who was once inside the inner circle gets pushed to the outside and decides to tell everybody, the whole world, no filter, no disclaimer, no apology, exactly what she saw while she was in the room. Nicki isn't done talking, not by a long shot. She said she won't release another album until her contract is renegotiated on her terms. She said she's got story times coming that will shake the entire industry. She said the destruction that's about to rain down on them isn't funny. Whether you're riding with Nicki or standing with Hove, one thing is crystal clear. This saga is far from over. It's still unfolding in real time every single day with every new post. And Jay-Z's unbroken, unwavering, almost eerie silence might just be the loudest, most deafening thing in this entire story. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.